Everyone else cast their lines and prayed not to pull up seawater, weeds, or another useless piece of trash. Shen Guocheng did not need luck, because his mythic talent let him touch the fishing rod and steal its function. With one hand in the ocean, he entered the hidden loot pool where every chest, blueprint, potion, and treasure drifted. Other survivors received 5 random casts, but Shen could watch the rewards approach and grab the best option himself. His first selection gave him a boat blueprint, 2 treasure chests, a body refining elixir, and an iron chest. That iron chest contained permanent stat potions, turning an average freshman into a Tier 1 survivor before sunset. Then he shared the power of his special island and began absorbing starlight directly into his body every night. While the entire ocean world struggled for bread and water, his barren rock evolved into a growing stellar stronghold. Every cast brought better loot. Every upgrade strengthened both him and the island, and every secret pushed him further ahead. By the time Region 666 noticed his name, Shen Guocheng was already building the foundation of an unbeatable ocean empire. Shen Guocheng stumbled and crashed heavily onto the stony ground. The dizziness from the overturned dormitory chair still lingered in his head. He lifted his gaze. He saw nothing but boundless sapphire sea. Waves crashed against the island's edge, sending fine white spray flying, apart from the small islet beneath him. There was not a trace of other land as far as the eye could see. Wait, my military training? The senior school beauties? My university life? Don't tell me it's all gone. Shen Guocheng rubbed his throbbing forehead. Yet, here he stood, stranded on a lone island. He pinched himself, and sharp pain shot through his skin. Right then, an icy, emotionless, mechanical voice boomed without warning deep inside his mind. The system confirmed universal transmigration complete. All individuals over 30 have been reset to the age of 30. Those suffering injuries, illnesses, or disabilities have been restored to perfect health. Check the system interface for full details. Remember, this world is deadly. Shen Guocheng froze for 2 seconds. Then his eyes lit up. Universal transmigration, a system, ocean islands. As an avid reader of online novels, he knew the setup all too well. Instead of panicking, he calmly called for the system interface, already recognizing the survival novel setup around him. A pale blue panel appeared, offering announcements, weather, personal status, island data, regional chat, storage, and a trade market. He tapped the topmost announcements tab first. A new window unfolded, revealing 7 clear rules. The island beneath your feet is your starting island. Certain islands possess unique special effects. This world has drastic temperature swings between day and night. Nights are extremely dangerous. Avoid leaving your island whenever possible. Bound islands are completely safe within their boundaries. You will receive a fishing rod upon binding. Every person awakens 1 talent. Check your profile for details. Natural disasters strike at random intervals. Island tier is critical for survival. This is a paradise for the strong and a hell for the weak, and your chance to begin anew. Shen Guocheng skimmed the text rapidly and sorted out the key points. Finding an island granted 7 days of safety, plus a starting fishing rod. Never stray offshore after dark. Everyone possessed a talent. The protection period lasts 7 days. First priority is securing basic survival resources. He closed the announcement panel and opened his personal profile. Talent not yet drawn. Seen weaklings before? But never someone this unremarkable. The corner of Shen Guocheng's mouth twitched. The system throws petty insults. 2. Ignoring the stinging evaluation, he fixed his eyes on the line. Talents were the core of survival and the key to pulling ahead of others. Taking a deep breath, he thought, draw talent. The system announced his result. He awakened sharing, a unique mythic-grade talent. You may share properties of nearly any item, excluding a tiny number of special artifacts. If the target's tier is equal to or lower than yours, all properties can be shared in full. If the target's tier exceeds yours, only 1 random basic property will be shared. The original item suffers 0 damage or consumption during sharing. The maximum number of items you can share simultaneously depends on your tier. As the panel faded away, Shen Guocheng stared blankly for a moment. On the surface, it sounded lacking in offensive power. He had read countless novels claiming support-type talents were the weakest in early stages. Yet, drawing on years of experience exploiting loopholes in games, he instantly brainstormed dozens of applications. If he shared rock hardness, would his body gain armor if he shared a weapon's attack properties? Could he boost his own striking power? Would that let him achieve perfect harmony with any weapon? Unstoppable against foes? Full property access against equal or lower tier targets? A random bonus against higher tier opponents? And the original item remains untouched. This was no useless talent. It was a god-tier ability to freely borrow the power of everything around him at zero cost. Shen Guocheng suppressed his surge of joy and held off testing it for the system notice. Finding the island was the most urgent task. Island name, Starvein Resonance Island, Tier 1, Wild Isle. Area roughly 100 square m. Upgrade requirements, stone 50, soil 100. The island's terrestrial veins connect to the starry sky, forming a natural star force resonance field. It passively absorbs stellar energy at night and is slowly evolving. Shen Guocheng's eyes lit up sharply. He had assumed he landed on a generic starting islet, but this one carried a special passive effect. This was the textbook lucky opening for a protagonist. Moreover, endless oceans stretched in every direction. Not a single boat or other island was visible. It would be utter foolishness to abandon a special isle and gamble blindly in open waters, searching for ordinary land. Shen Guocheng made up his mind instantly. The system confirmed Starvein Resonance Island. You are the sole owner of this island. Fishing rod delivered to system storage. With a thought, Shen Guocheng summoned the dark brown wooden fishing rod. Its design was plain and unadorned. The entire island was smaller than half a basketball court. Rugged, dark gray reefs lined its edges. Waves crashed against the shore, salt-laden wind sweeping across the land. Above stretched a clear blue sky. Merging with the sea at the horizon, Shen Guocheng glanced out over the churning waves, then stared down at his own hands. There was no point lamenting his fate. Shen Guocheng brushed sand off his palms and quickly adjusted his mindset. Compared to his initial shock and despair, he now held two major advantages: a mythic tier talent and a special starting island. By all measures, his opening was far better than most survivors. Another thought, and the simple dark brown fishing rod materialized in his grasp. It possessed a smooth, warm wooden texture, polished clean without extra ornamentation, nearly identical to ordinary sea fishing rods sold in tackle shops. Shen Guocheng used inside on the rod. Description: standard survival tool for island dwellers. Matches your island's tier. Grants 5 free fishing attempts daily. Resetting at midnight. Possible catches. Basic survival supplies. Blueprints. Wooden chests. Iron chests. Very low chance. Special chests. Extremely low chance. You may also hook sea monsters or come up empty-handed. 5 casts per day. And there's still a chance to catch nothing. Plenty of unlucky survivors will be weeping, while the lucky ones celebrate wildly. I wonder which camp I fall into, Shen Guocheng mused. Without boats or other tools at this early stage, and with an utterly barren island, the fishing rod was his only steady source of supplies. Everything rested on these 5 daily casts. Those with fragile spirits would probably kneel and pray to the ocean already. The default channel was region 666, housing 100,000 survivors. Each user could send only 10 messages per day. There's nothing but ocean all around me. I have water manipulation. I can't even find firewood on this desolate island. Anyone landed on a special island. The announcement said some have unique effects. My island seems to naturally attract schools of fish. A small number who awakened powerful talents drew floods of envy whenever they shared their luck. Shen Guocheng skimmed for a while, then closed the regional chat, choosing not to send any messages. Next came the trademark. Unlike the bustling chat channel, the marketplace was eerily quiet, with barely any listings, and many were absurd. Offers like trading weeds for food, plain seawater for fresh water, dotted the board. Only a few reasonable exchanges existed, such as timber for rations and soil for fresh water. Everyone struggled to sustain themselves, and few possessed surplus goods to trade. Shen Guocheng closed the market after a brief scan. He knew it would only truly become useful once survivors stockpiled extra resources. He walked to the island's edge, set up the fishing rod, and cast the line into the sea. Shen Guocheng held off, activating his sharing talent for now. He intended to fish normally first. Record the typical loot from a Tier 1 rod to establish a baseline. Afterwards, he would test the talent for comparison and verify his theories about its capabilities. His first cast lasted roughly 3 minutes. The float suddenly plunged sharply. Shen Guocheng tensed his wrist and hauled the rod upward steadily. The fishing line stretched taut. With a splash, his prize broke the surface. Instead of fish, a sealed plastic water bottle dangled from the hook. The system delivered. Fresh water 1 unit liter. Not a bad start. Shen Guocheng smiled and stowed the item. System storage contained 20 slots. Each slot could hold 1 type of item, stacking up to 99 units. Raw materials were tracked directly on the system panel, just like in a video game. A single liter of fresh water used sparingly could sustain him for 2 to 3 days. His drinking needs were solved immediately. Still, it struck him as bizarre to pull fresh water straight out of the ocean. He rebaited the hook and cast again. The second wait dragged on longer, 5 or 6 minutes passing before the float dove downward with far greater force. Shen Guocheng leaned into the pole. As the catch surfaced, pale brown timber came into view. A square wooden chest, roughly 40 centimeters on each side, carved with simple patterns. The system delivered. Wooden chest 1 unit. Shen Guocheng lifted the chest and used insight to examine it. Description randomly yields 1 to 3 common items. Upon opening, he pried open the latch and the lid swung open. Inside lay a rolled blueprint, 12 uniform chunks of stone, and 2 loaves of bread. Obtain stone axe blueprint 1 unit. Stone times 12, bread 2. These were exactly the basic materials needed to upgrade his island. Every beginning was difficult. After 2 casts, he secured food, drinking water, a crafting blueprint, and upgrade materials. Ordinary survivors would be overjoyed at such haul. But Shen Guocheng craved more. He prepared for his 3rd cast. The system confirmed this fishing attempt yielded no catch. The system delivered timber 3 units. Pulling timber out of open water made him pause in amusement. The system delivered food can 2 units. Shen Guocheng stared down at the fishing rod, anticipation flickering in his eyes. He had earned solid rewards through standard fishing. What would happen if he shared the rod's properties? He activated sharing on the fishing rod and declared aloud with flair, share notes on tier classification for items common. Fine. Excellent. Rare. Perfect. Transcendent. Epic. Legendary. Mythic. Combat tier classification ascending Tier 1 through Tier 9. Chest ranks: wooden, iron, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, epic, legendary, mythic. Share. The instant the thought echoed, cool wooden energy traveled up his palm and wrist like a faint electric current. Spreading through every limb, Shen Guocheng glanced at the intact fishing rod in his grasp. It felt as if he himself had turned into a fishing rod. He could clearly tell he had successfully shared the rod's core property, the ability to fish resources from this ocean. Curiosity stirred inside him as he flexed his fingers, lucky to succeed on the first sharing attempt. Now that property belonged to him. Did that mean he could fish using only his bare hand? Still, absurdity aside, there was no cost to testing it. He walked to the island's edge, leaned over the reef, and stared at the churning waves for several seconds. The moment icy seawater wrapped around his palm, the world shifted entirely. The blue ocean, distant horizon, and tiny islet beneath his feet all vanished. Countless items of all sizes drifted slowly through this space. Basic supplies such as bread, fresh water, and lumber, gleaming chests, and rolled blueprints, and farther away, faint glowing orbs that were clearly priceless treasures. Shen Guocheng stared in shock. This was the realm the fishing rod accessed to draw supplies. No wonder it could pull all manner of goods from the open sea. Yet, the starting fishing rod seemed surprisingly powerful. Who created all these items? He pushed the question aside. He attempted to move, discovering only his right hand could operate within this void, limited to a fixed range like a fishing line. The luminous rare items floating far out of reach stayed beyond his grasp. No matter how he stretched, Shen Guocheng could not help complaining silently. Others cast rods to reach far distances, and I just wait for loot to drift within arm's reach. Resources drifted slowly along invisible currents. All he could do was wait patiently and grab items once they entered his capture radius. Every item he caught consumed one charge. Chung steadied his focus, sweeping his gaze over the floating supplies and targeting larger, more valuable objects. Before long, a yellowed blueprint drifted slowly along the current, stopping right at the edge of his reach. Shen Guocheng struck fast and closed his fist around it. The system delivered small wooden boat blueprint 1 unit. Boats were essential for ocean exploration. With one, he could travel to other unclaimed islands nearby, instead of being trapped on this 100 square meter rock, slowly exhausting resources. The odds of drawing a boat blueprint from regular fishing were extremely slim, yet he obtained it on his first bare-handed attempt, both wooden treasure chests wobbling into range. Shen Guocheng grabbed one in each hand steadily. The system delivered wooden treasure chest 1 unit. 2 successes in a row bolstered his confidence. Normally, getting 1 wooden treasure chest after 5 fishing attempts was considered incredible luck. Yet, he'd gotten 2 at once. The 4th item floating toward him was a vial of clear, pale blue liquid. There was no tag on the bottle, and it clearly wasn't ordinary seawater. Without hesitation, Shen Guocheng reached out and caught it. The system delivered body refining elixir. Name: body refining elixir, grade fine. Description: purges a certain amount of impurities from the body upon consumption. 4 attempts had been used, leaving only the final chance. Shen Guocheng held his breath, his gaze fixed firmly on the depths of the void. He waited for something far better. Several minutes later, a dark brown metallic glimmer slowly emerged in the distance. It was an iron treasure chest, roughly the same size as the wooden ones, carved with intricate patterns along its edges. "Come to me. Come closer," Shen Guocheng muttered repeatedly. As the chest drifted to the edge of his harvesting radius, he lunged forward, fingers clamping tightly onto its rim. The system delivered iron treasure chest. 1 unit. Success. The moment he secured the iron chest, the void before him shattered, and the familiar sea surface came back into view. Not a single wasted try, and the quality of loot vastly outstripped standard fishing yields. Meteor talent really is overpowered. Other survivors relied purely on luck to fish, but he could practically pick rewards straight from the loot pool. His reach might be limited, yet the consistent quality put every ordinary survivor far behind. He first opened the 2 wooden treasure chests. Inside, the first lay a flint, a thick black windbreaker, and a neatly folded quilt. Shen Guocheng shook out the windbreaker. The system announcement warned of extreme temperature swings and dangers at night. With these 2 items, he had solved his warmth problem and wouldn't shiver through the dark hours. The second chest was filled with basic construction materials: stone times 10, clay times 5, timber times 10, combined with materials he gained earlier. He already had nearly half the 50 stones needed to upgrade his island. At this pace, he could advance the island to Tier 2 within 2 days. At last, he turned his attention to the iron treasure chest. Name: iron treasure chest, grade randomly yields 1 to 3 common or fine grade items. The metal container felt cold and heavy in his grasp. Shen Guocheng gripped the latch and pried it open. The chest swung open. One glowed pale red, the other translucent deep blue. Beside them sat a small pouch. Description: slightly boosts physical constitution after use. Fine description: slightly boosts mental spirit after use. Name: basic supply gift pack, grade common. Description: unlocks various basic resources with a total quantity of 100 units. Constitution potion and spirit potion. Permanent stat boosts. He would consume the body refining elixir first, acting on his thought. Shen Guocheng tilted his head back and swallowed the single drop of body refining elixir. Unable to stand the stench, he stripped off his clothes and washed himself using seawater at the shore. Once clean, he drained both potions in quick succession. After drinking them, Shen Guocheng felt utterly revitalized. Name: Shen Guocheng, grade 1, 2, overall evaluation. This once mediocre survivor has changed. He had broken through to Tier 1. Now, he could test out several ideas he'd been considering. He immediately opened the basic supply gift pack. Rewards: stone times 31, clay times 57, timber times 10, iron 2 units. Now he only needed 48 units of clay to upgrade the island. Orange-red twilight spilled across the sea. Shen Guocheng glanced upward. Complete darkness would arrive soon. He hadn't forgotten the system's warnings about nighttime dangers. Still, compared to the threats, the line from his island's description, capable of passively absorbing star power at night, captivated him far more. Carrying his quilt and windbreaker to the island's center, he pulled stones and timber from his system storage and stacked them as a windbreak. Though they appeared small inside treasure chests, each stone expanded into a 30 centimeters cube once withdrawn. Shen Guocheng lit a fire and stared out toward the darkening sea. The crash of waves sounded deeper and heavier than during the day, and countless unknown threats seemed to lurk within the shadows. Dusk had fully settled. The distant sea melted into deep ink black, only foamy white crests visible where waves crashed against the island shore. Cold night wind swept over him. Yet the crude shelter, campfire, windproof jacket, and quilt shielded him entirely. He realized he hadn't eaten a proper meal after a busy afternoon. Pulling a can from system storage, he tore open the pull tab, and rich savory meat aroma wafted out at once. Chewing mouthfuls of meat, he opened the regional chat channel. Haven't eaten all day. This fishing rod is garbage. 4 empty catches out of 5 attempts. I'm hungry and thirsty. Is anyone willing to trade supplies with me? Roasted poultry from another world? Hypothetically, what happens if I accidentally drop my fishing rod into the sea? How are you all chatting here without freezing? Wow. 5 fishing attempts and 4 wooden treasure chests. Check what resources you're missing. Watch your language. Everyone? Messages scrolled rapidly, filled with all kinds of chatter, much like the chaos of the afternoon. Shen Guocheng paused mid-chew when he noticed the survivor counter glowing in the corner of the regional channel. The region had begun with 100,000 people, but only 99,072 were still alive. Less than half a day had passed. Even though the first-day protection rules were supposedly keeping newcomers safe, Shen Guocheng chewed his meat, his expression turning solemn. He'd thought being bound to an island guaranteed safety, but that was clearly not the case. After finishing the canned food, he opened the trade market. Numerous trade listings had appeared. There was no rush to rely on the market. His goal stretched far beyond petty trades. Hoarding materials to upgrade the island and craft a boat as soon as possible was his priority. He took a sip of fresh water to moisten his throat. Night had fully swallowed the sea. Blueprints for wooden boats and stone axes required a workbench to craft, and he did not yet possess one. He could not waste this long night. Shen Guocheng's gaze fell on the island beneath his feet. It was time to test an idea he'd pondered earlier. Could he share the island itself? Most people who obtained the share talent would immediately share weapons or armor. But Shen Guocheng thought differently. His Starvein Resonance Island was special, capable of absorbing star power at night. If he could share the island's trait, would he also absorb star power? There was only one way to find out. He calmed his mind, pressed his palm against the firelit soil, and spoke silently within his heart. The moment the talent activated, a far heavier, steadier force surged upward from beneath the ground. It flowed through his palm and spread across his entire body, as if the island's weight had settled deep into his bones. His physical strength had surpassed ordinary Tier 1 standards. Shen Guocheng's eyes lit up. In the pitch-black night sky, countless stars sent nearly transparent silver threads drifting downward. This must be star power. It matched perfectly with the island's description. Previously, only the island absorbed star power after dark. Now that he shared its trait, he could reap the benefits alongside it. Shen Guocheng tried to guide the energy, yet found he could not control it consciously. It functioned as quiet, gradual nourishment, subtle yet persistent. Won't complain about free power. And the island description says there are no downsides. He lay down wrapped in his quilt, occasionally glancing at the chat channel. Warmth from the campfire, the windproof jacket, and the slow flow of star power combined to make him drowsy. Shen Guocheng closed his eyes. He slept soundly, unaware the silver glow swirling around him was growing denser. Shen Guocheng woke as the first streaks of dawn painted the horizon. The campfire had burned down to warm ashes. Normally, I can't sleep before midnight. Could absorbing star power be the reason he stood and stretched? His mental state far exceeded yesterday's. The quiet star power had clearly yielded tangible benefits. He brushed aside his confusion, pulled the last can of food from system storage, and twisted open his freshwater canteen for a drink. Gentle waves rolled toward the distant horizon. Honestly, this scenery would be a top-tier resort island back on Earth, he joked as he bit into canned meat. Today's goal was clear: gather materials to upgrade the Starvein Resonance Island to Tier 2. It was already 9-0. He glanced at regional chat, and the survivor count had fallen to more than 80,000. Finishing his meal, he wiped his mouth, grabbed his fishing rod. He headed to his usual spot at the island's edge. Daily fishing attempts had reset. He began with regular fishing first. The system delivered. The float dipped sharply, pulled by strong resistance. He tugged upward, and a familiar pale brown wooden chest broke the surface. The system delivered. Wooden treasure chest, 1 unit. Inside were stone times 8, clay times 6, plus a small packet of vegetable seeds. The third cast caught nothing. The fourth brought 2 lures of fresh water. The fifth yielded 2 packs of compressed biscuits. All 5 regular attempts finished. Shen Guocheng set down the fishing rod and stretched his fingers. The real harvest was about to begin. Having advanced to Tier 1, his share talent capacity had expanded from 1 to 2. He no longer needed to constantly toggle sharing between the fishing rod and the island. He walked to the shore, dipped his right hand into seawater. The resource dimension awaited him once more. Keep targeting high-value items. Anything useless can be traded for clay later. Shen Guocheng kept his sights locked on treasure chests, scrolls, and other items that looked valuable. It was not long before 2 wooden treasure chests drifted within reach, and he caught one in each hand. The third drifting item was not bulk resources, but a folded blueprint edged with metallic sheen. The system delivered crossbow crafting blueprint 1 unit. The fourth item was another wooden treasure chest. Iron treasure chest stayed farther away today. He thought his harvest would end there with the final attempt until a surprise arrived. A glittering treasure chest raced toward him faster than any supply he had seen so far. Shen Guocheng focused intently, striking quickly as it passed and successfully capturing it. The system confirmed acquired special treasure chest 1 unit. Shen Guocheng pulled his hand back, barely able to contain his grin. This is just how powerful a mythic talent is. Now, time to open the chests. Shen Guocheng first took out 3 wooden treasure chests. You 3 had better drop mediocre loot to serve as luck fodder for my special chest. He opened the 3 wooden chests, one after another. The first was filled entirely with basic materials. Wood times 5, clay times 4, stone times 6, bread 2 units, fresh water 1 unit, liters roasted chicken 1 unit. The third held a mixed assortment. Bandage 2 units, charcoal crafting, blueprint 1 unit times 5. Next came the main prize of the day name, special treasure chest grade, a reward obtained only after thousands of fishing attempts. Shen Guocheng took a deep breath and opened the special chest. Name basic material selection pack, 100 grade. Common description allows free selection of any basic material. Special description contains dense star power, a rare transcendent material. Special description, upon use, grants 1 random piece of beneficial information to the user. He'd struck it rich. He now possessed enough supplies to upgrade his island? Without hesitation, Shen Guocheng immediately used the random information. The system confirmed usage successful. Once you travel 100 meters away from your island, you will discover another island 1 kilometer to the east. If you set foot on this island within the 3-day novice period, you will receive a special reward. An island 1 kilometer east with a special reward. Logically, an island 1 kilometer away should be visible. Evidently, some system or special rule set this trigger condition. Still, the 1 kilometer distance meant he needed a boat to cross the water. He only needed 15 units of clay to upgrade the island. Shen Guocheng used 15 of the material packs to obtain the clay, saving the remainder for future shortages. Upgrade island stone, 50 clay, 100. A white light enveloped the island's perimeter. After roughly a minute, a newly transformed island came into view. The most obvious change after the upgrade was its increased size. Other features remained largely unchanged. The upgraded Starvein Resonance Island now covered roughly 300 square meters and unlocked several basic facilities. He could build a wooden hut, a workbench, and farm plots while saving materials for the next island upgrade. Its land veins remained connected to the night sky, steadily absorbing star power and strengthening the entire island. New star ore had appeared underground, though mining too much would weaken the island's natural resonance field. Shen Guocheng felt a surge of excitement because the island's evolution was clearly accelerating with every tier. If that pattern continued, this barren rock would eventually become a genuine star-blessed territory. Additionally, he could now construct 3 facilities: a wooden hut, workbench, and farm plots. Provided he gathered sufficient materials, shelter would be secured, a workstation for crafting boats and tools would be available, and his survival concerns over food would vanish. The Tier 3 upgrade required a star spirit crystal, and he had just obtained 3. That meant only common basic materials stood between him and Tier 3. The system had practically handed him resources on a platter. Of course, Tier 3 was still a distant goal. His priority was to complete basic infrastructure first. From the remaining 85 basic material selection packs, he used 26, choosing 9 units of clay and 17 units of wood. Construct wooden hut and farm plots, just like the island upgrade. White light wrapped around the island's center. In less than 20 seconds, a 30 square meter log cabin stood at the island's heart. It had sturdy walls, a simple wooden door, and windows, more than enough to shield him from wind and rain. Construct workbench with 20 white light shrouded the log cabin once more. A dozen seconds later, the cabin's outward appearance stayed the same, but its interior expanded from 30 to 40 meters. Shen Guocheng pushed open the door and stepped inside. The space was dim. A fire pit sat in the center with a room on each side. A wooden bed occupied the corner with no other furnishings. The left room housed the workbench, also 10 square meters large. Its surface was smoothly polished, retaining natural wood grain along the edges. It came complete with simple grooves and fixtures. Special description unlocks crafting blueprints. Items can be forged by inputting materials. He channeled his will and placed 3 blueprints onto the workbench: stone axe blueprint, small wooden boat blueprint, and crossbow blueprint. The workbench glowed faintly, absorbing all 3 blueprints. Their crafting requirements appeared clearly. The stone axe required only wood and stone, making it the easiest tool to produce immediately. The small wooden boat required timber, rope, and iron, but it could safely carry 1 or 2 people near shore. The crossbow needed wood and beast tendons, giving him a reliable ranged weapon once ammunition became available. Shen Guocheng prioritized the boat because the time-limited reward island waited 1 kilometer to the east. If he wanted to claim the time-limited reward on the eastern island 1 kilometer away, the boat was mandatory. He would need to trade for resources on the marketplace. Shen Guocheng opened the marketplace and searched for wood. Compared to hemp, rope, and iron, wood would undoubtedly be the cheapest commodity. 10 wood in exchange for 1 day's rations. Trading wood for food. Message me if interested. 5 wood for 500 milliliters fresh water. Page after page of trade listings appeared. He ignored all posts requiring private negotiations and only accepted deals he deemed reasonably priced. In the end, he traded 1 liter of fresh water for 60 units of wood. Now, his materials were sufficient. He used the basic material selection packs to obtain 10 units of hemp rope and 3 units of iron. Shen Guocheng immediately began crafting the small wooden boat with 50 hemp rope, 10 iron 5. 10 minutes passed and construction finished. He had expected the boat to materialize inside the room, but instead it appeared directly within his system storage space. The storage space was incredibly convenient. Shen Guocheng stepped outside and retrieved the small wooden boat from storage, placing it on the ground to inspect. He avoided launching it straight into the sea, fearing the currents might sweep it away. The boat had a sharp, slender hull finished in natural log varnish. Its construction was simple, yet robust, and it came equipped with oars. Everything was ready, yet Shen Guocheng did not set off at once. He refused to let the prospect of limited time rewards cloud his judgment and risk his life recklessly. He opened the marketplace again, this time searching for crossbow bolts. Some listings existed, though far fewer than wood, and most prices were exorbitant or required private discussion. Shen Guocheng opened a trade post offering bolts in exchange for food. Shen Guocheng, hello, I want to trade for crossbow bolts. Lu Yong, what food do you have? I will set the price based on your supplies. Shen Guocheng, I only have compressed biscuits right now. Lu Yong, that works. Take it or leave it. I will set up the trade listing now. He had originally hoped to trade for a better weapon and armor, but limited supplies forced him to abandon the idea. Armed with his newly crafted stone axe and crossbow, Shen Guocheng boarded the boat and set course toward the eastern island marked in the information. The wooden boat cut across glistening waves, drifting slowly east. Shen Guocheng gripped the oars, sitting steadily as sea wind fluttered his clothes. As far as his eyes could see, stretched endless blue ocean with no sign of land, yet once he sailed 100 meters offshore. The island mentioned in the information finally came into view. A 1-kilometer voyage was not far, yet this ocean was unlike the seas of his old world. There was no telling what creatures might surge up from the depths. Sure enough, when this boat reached the halfway point, faint splashes echoed from underwater. Shen Guocheng immediately stopped rowing and peered down. Several dark gray shapes surged toward the boat from beneath the waves. Dorsal fins sliced the water, revealing rows of sharp fangs. He activated insight and grabbed his crossbow. Mindless predatory fish of the ocean. Remaining calm, Shen Guocheng pulled the crossbow from storage, knocked a bolt, and took aim. Reddish blood diffused through the seawater. Instead of retreating, the remaining two grew wilder from the scent of blood and leaped from the water, lunging toward the gunwale. Shen Guocheng set aside the crossbow, drew his stone axe, and swung horizontally as the two fish hung suspended midair. Squatch! The two fangfish crashed back into the water, belly up and lifeless, in less than 20 seconds. All three attacking sea creatures were slain. Shen Guocheng shook seawater and blood from his axe, his tense muscles relaxing. Have I grown this strong already? He stowed the 3 fish carcasses into system storage. Fish meat and hide were valuable resources. Every little bit counted. With the threat dealt with, the boat continued east. Roughly 5 more minutes of rowing passed. As he drew nearer, the full outline of the island became clear. It was slightly larger than Starvein Resonance Island, spanning just over 400 square meters. The terrain was barren, with barely any wild grass. At the island's center stood a pale graystone pillar several meters tall, shimmering with a faint jade luster beneath the sunlight. Shen Guocheng rowed the boat into shallow waters, jumped ashore, and stored the boat back into his system storage. His eyes locked onto the central stone pillar, and he advanced cautiously. Instead of touching it rashly, he activated insight. Touching it initiates a comprehensive evaluation of the survivor. The evaluation tier determines the number of reward draws. 5 draws tier 2, 3 draws tier 3, 2 draws tier 4, 1 draw tier 5. There's a ranking system involved. Shen Guocheng stroked his chin and thought rapidly. Others might reach out and touch it immediately, but he first pondered how the evaluation functioned. If the score depended on his current stockpile and combat strength, waiting until he gathered more resources and boosted his power would yield better results. After tomorrow's 10 fishing attempts, he might even climb an evaluation tier. On the other hand, discovering and reaching this island required extremely strict conditions. Aside from others who might have obtained the location through a special treasure chests, random information. Normal survivors would first need to travel 100 meters offshore just to spot the landmass. And even then, many would fail to notice it. They would also need a boat to cross the water. Boats either required blueprints unlocked by upgrading to a Tier 2 island and crafting via workbench, or could only be obtained from treasure chests. Neither option was easy, and the 3-day time limit hung over everything. Whether the pillar compared every survivor or judged him alone, Shen Guocheng believed his foundation ranked near the top. Waiting might improve the score, but claiming the reward early would accelerate every step that followed. Having made up his mind, he reached out and pressed his palm against the cool pillar. In an instant, soft white light emanated from the stone, flowing up his palm and sweeping across his whole body. The pillar scanned him with white light, then awarded the highest evaluation and 5 reward draws. 9 luminous patterns lit up across the pillar's surface, each corresponding to a category. Building blueprints, crafting blueprints, Equipment: beast eggs, plant seeds, skill to materials, cultivation codex, potions, 9 categories, and 5 full draws. Shen Guocheng nearly drooled. He had secured the highest evaluation tier for this novice-limited opportunity. He stared at the 9 reward categories and considered his options. There was no indication of item ranks for each category, meaning rewards were likely randomized. Let's test 2 categories first. Choose Beast Egg and Crafting Blueprint. He selected Beast Egg partly because living alone on the island grew lonely, and a companion would be welcome regardless of its combat power. He picked Crafting Blueprint to test the reward system. As he made his choice, white light descended beside his feet, revealing an ostrich-sized beast egg and a scroll. Name Silver Starwing, Eagle Egg Grade. Transcendent description: drip blood to form a bond. It will hatch into a silver starwing eagle within 3 days. Placing it in an environment rich in star power accelerates incubation. Name Beast, Feed Crafting, Blueprint Grade. Rare description unlocks the ability to craft beast feed of corresponding grades up to rare tier when supplied with suitable materials. Transcendent and Rare. 2 ranks he had never seen before, yet clearly extremely high tier. He wondered if the reward selection was rigged. Choosing a beast egg directly granted him the blueprint for beast feed. Choose Building Blueprint, Plant Seeds, Cultivation Codex. Another wave of white light washed over him, and the rewards materialized. Name Star Convergence Tower Blueprint Grade. Draws surrounding star power and concentrates it within the tower. Name Star Vault Mantra Grade. The Star Vault Mantra was an ancient cultivation codex designed specifically for absorbing and refining stellar energy. The fruit contains faint star power and can slightly boost mental strength. He could not help but suspect the rewards were predetermined, all of them aligned with star attributes matching the nature of his island. Still, there was nothing he could do to change it. Since the system offered them, he would accept them. He bit his fingertip and let a drop of blood fall onto the silver starwing eagle egg, then gathered his belongings and headed home. Shen Guocheng stowed the beast egg, blueprints, and seed into his system storage. After confirming nothing else remained, he launched the boat and began rowing back across the shimmering sea. The oar sliced through the water while his eyes remained fixed on every shadow moving beneath the surface. He rowed steadily, yet his gaze never left the water. He had encountered fangfish on the way here, and there was no guarantee the return journey would be safe. More shapes than before. 5 or 6 dark gray silhouettes closed in. Dorsal fins cut the waves and sharp fangs glinted coldly under the sunlight. Traveling in a pack, Shen Guocheng raised his crossbow, knocking a bolt. Crimson blood spread slowly through the seawater. The remaining 4 grew frenzied from the scent and surged forward, leaping out of the water to snap at Shen Guocheng on the boat. Shen Guocheng set aside the empty crossbow and drew his stone axe. Horizontal and vertical strikes felt 2 more fish. Yet, the school outnumbered him. He expected searing pain, but only felt dull pressure. Shen Guocheng blinked and looked down. It must be the shared island trait boosting my physical resilience. He realized immediately Starvein Resonance Island featured dense, tough rock formations, and the island's properties extended to his own body. These Tier 0 fangfish could not break through his defenses. Now, fully confident, he twisted his wrist. The stone atoms swept forward with fierce momentum, cleaving apart the last 2 fangfish. He shook his arm. Aside from mild soreness, he suffered no injuries. He butchered the 6 fish carcasses and stored all of them into system storage. As he collected the remains, a thought crossed his mind. If he could share the traits of marine creatures, would he gain the ability to breathe underwater and swim better? Unwilling to risk inheriting the fangfish's mindless aggression to test the theory. With the threat eliminated, the boat sailed smoothly. He pulled ashore, stored the boat, and stepped onto familiar land. After a short rest, Shen Guocheng pulled out the Star Convergence Tower blueprint. This perfect tier structure actively gathered star power, perfectly complementing his island's natural traits. He initially planned to erect it at the island's center to form a complete star power circulation loop. He focused his mind and selected placement. Yet, the next instant, a system notification popped up. Detected insufficient island level and limited land area. Perfect grade star gathering tower cannot be placed temporarily. Please upgrade your island and try again. The island level isn't high enough. Shen Guocheng stroked his chin. His island spanned merely 300 meters for now. Fortunately, he already possessed star spirit stones, the core material required for the Tier 3 upgrade. All he needed was basic stone and soil. Within a few days, he could advance the island once more. All right, I'll keep the blueprint stored and attempt construction once the island reaches Tier 3. He put the blueprint away and walked toward the farm plots. 9 neatly arranged patches of soft black soil stretched out before him. He took out starfruit tree seeds along with vegetable seeds he had obtained the previous day and sowed them separately across the plots. After watering the starfruit tree seeds with fresh water, Shen Guocheng returned to his wooden cabin. He carefully set the silver star eagle egg down on the wooden bed. A faint silver glow rippled across the shell, brightening the dim room significantly. The island star energy will nourish it and speed up hatching. Having settled the beast egg, he stepped into the room housing his workbench and slotted the beast feed crafting blueprint into the device. A soft light flickered across the interface as the blueprint was registered. Name beast feed grade. Common rare required materials, meat 2 units, vegetables 1 unit, fresh water 20 milliliters. Description satisfies the daily growth needs of beasts. With this recipe ready, he would not need to worry excessively about food once the young eagle hatched. After wrapping up his chores, the sun still hung low above the horizon. Dusk was far off. Leaning against the cabin doorway, Shen Guocheng retrieved the book Cosmic Star Law from his system storage. Its cover was deep navy blue, textured like scattered stardust, and cool to the touch. He flipped open the title page, and the ancient characters automatically became readable within his mind. This was a genuine transcendent cultivation technique on an entirely different level from relying on potions or passive star energy nourishment. Shen Guocheng's expression turned serious as he carefully read the text. Half an hour later, he finished the introductory cultivation segment. When he tried to continue reading, all subsequent writing vanished without explanation. He suspected he could not access the rest because he had not yet begun cultivating, lacked sufficient realm progress, or needed to satisfy some special condition to unlock the remaining pages. According to the book, Cosmic Star Law could only be practiced after nightfall, with plenty of time remaining until dark. He had no choice but to open the regional chat channel to browse messages from other survivors. We only get 5 uses of the fishing rod each day. Once those run out, there's nothing to do. Can the system at least give us phones and signal you're dreaming? But I agree. If you're bored, why not dig soil and stone on your islands? What's the point of digging dirt and rock and excavating materials from your own island? Actually help upgrade it? I was just short of soil to level up my island. Gave it a shot, and it succeeded. What's more, the soil and stone you dig will regenerate after the island upgrades. I'm heading out to dig right now. What changes come with upgrading to Tier 2 island? It expands a little and unlocks construction of wooden cabins, workbenches, and farm plots. How are we supposed to survive the natural disasters arriving in 7 days? Has anyone spotted other islands nearby? I never stray far from my island, so I can sense danger well in advance. I plan to investigate tomorrow. Reading this exchange, Shen Guocheng realized the island Chen mentioned was the reward island he had visited. It would be wise to share this information in the regional chat. Dividing survivors into regions in this unfamiliar world, gaining influence and renown while staying ahead in strength would benefit him greatly. Shen Guocheng, I know that island. Every survivor's initial island has one such landmass within a 1-kilometer radius. You can only see it once you travel more than 100 meters away from your starting island. It is a reward island that evaluates visitors and grants rewards. After I finished fishing and returned to my island, I could no longer see that dark speck, if this is true. Thank you. Senior, I choose to believe him. Do you have a boat? But I can build a simple wooden raft using timber. Some people never learn to avoid unnecessary risks. Lay the timbers side by side. Tiny stars dotted the deep blue sky one after another, and cool sea breeze carrying a faint salty tang swept across Starvein Resonance Island. A small fire smoldered weakly inside the wooden cabin. Shen Guocheng sat cross-legged beside the flames and pulled the roasted chicken he had caught while fishing earlier out of system storage. The system is incredible. He opened the regional chat channel, found the photo upload function, and snapped a picture of the steaming chicken. Messages flooded the channel instantly. Senior, could you explain more about the reward island you mentioned earlier? You already got rewards from that island. Why can't you share some food with the rest of us? Why don't you give us food instead? He already volunteered information about the reward island. Are you out of your mind? Is everyone ready to head to that reward island tomorrow? I practiced following Chen Shu's instructions, and what I built barely held together. I hope the reward island doesn't have a time limit, or I'll never reach it. My raft is finished. Shen Guocheng skimmed through the flood of messages, filled with envy and requests, then closed the channel. He said nothing more regarding the reward island. He chose not to mention the 3-day time restriction. Disclosing that detail would only invite accusations. Rich juices chased away all the exhaustion from the day, paired with stored fresh water. The simple supper felt deeply satisfying. Shen Guocheng stood carefully, picked up the glowing silver star eagle egg, and walked to the open space outside the cabin. The full stretch of night sky unfolded above him, endless starlight pouring down unobstructed, the perfect place to cultivate. He set the beast egg gently on the soft soil beside him, then sat cross-legged on the ground and began cultivating according to the introductory chapter of Cosmic Star Law. Beneath the night sky, draw starlight from the firmament into your body, scour your flesh and bones, temper your physical origin, and achieve perfect harmony between your body and stellar power. Shen Guocheng closed his eyes and calmed his mind, attempting to pull the silvery star threads drifting down from above. Yet, as soon as he settled his thoughts, star energy far denser than what he had experienced the previous night surged into his body through every limb and meridian without deliberate guidance. He had activated the shared talent to link with Starvein Resonance Island the previous night and never deactivated it. After the island upgraded from Tier 1 to Tier 2 during the day, its innate star resonance effect strengthened dramatically. This amplification extended to him through the shared connection. In other words, as long as he did not sever the sharing link, every enhancement gained by the connected object would synchronize to him in real time. Was this not essentially a talent exploit? He never imagined finding such an advantage after arriving in this foreign world. Exploits were only frustrating when they benefited others rather than oneself. Shen Guocheng rapidly considered the boundless potential of his shared talent. Right now, the Tier 2 island doubled his rate of absorbing star energy. Could the Tier 2 fishing rod also pass all its enhancements to him through sharing? If so, fishing yields, range, and the grade of items he caught would all see massive improvements. He would not need to constantly switch shared targets. As long as the bonded objects continued to grow stronger, he would receive all their upgrades simultaneously. The truly terrifying power of his mythic-grade shared talent finally revealed itself. He guided the incoming star energy, carefully following the foundational cultivation method. The introductory practice contained no fancy moves, only pure tempering and attunement. As he absorbed more star energy, the flow of power within his body grew smoother, and his physical harmony with starlight rose bit by bit. All weariness from the day faded, leaving every limb brimming with vitality. Beside him, the silver star eagle egg breathed in starlight in tandem. The silver glow on its shell brightened and dimmed rhythmically, as if following a steady pulse, drawing surrounding stellar energy inward with each cycle. Waves lapped softly against the rocks. The beast egg absorbed starlight beside him. Man, egg, and the entire Starvein Island rested within the same field of star resonance. While steadily absorbing starlight to temper his body, Shen Guocheng silently planned his agenda for tomorrow. His fishing rod was now Tier 2, so he expected far better catches the next day. He would work hard to gather enough basic stone and soil to upgrade the island to Tier 3 before the natural disasters arrived to better withstand the coming crisis. Shen Guocheng immersed himself in cultivation, a faint silver aura swirling around his form. Unbeknownst to him, countless eyes watched intently from the dark sea beyond the island's edge. Dawn had not yet fully broken. Shen Guocheng slept deeply. He had cultivated deep into the night, finally retreating indoors with the glowing beast egg. Then a throbbing pain in his skull woke him. Tap, 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 tap. Still half asleep, Shen Guocheng felt something repeatedly pecking his forehead. The force was light, yet the strikes came rapidly like a tiny pile driver. He burrowed deeper under the quilt, but whatever it was persisted, chasing his forehead to continue pecking. A fledgling silver star eagle stood right in front of him, its entire body covered in silvery gray, down-dotted with tiny star flecks. A soft beak and tender claws staring straight at him with obvious hunger. Shen Guocheng glanced down. The beast egg he had brought into the cabin the night before had split into 2 shattered halves scattered across the floor. The fledgling had hatched while he slept. Shen Guocheng sat up, amused by its impatient chirping. "Aren't you hatching far too quickly?" He recalled that the egg's description stated an incubation period of 3 days after he formed a blood pact with it. Shen Guocheng glanced through the window. Daylight had not fully spread across the sky. Seeing Shen Guocheng make no move to feed it, the fledgling chirped loudly again. It stumbled unsteadily across the quilt, its pale yellow claws slipping on the fabric as it lurched toward Shen Guocheng, as if threatening to cling to him if ignored. Shen Guocheng could not resist its persistence. He retrieved chunks of 2 fish meat he had stored from system space. The fledgling spotted the meat and stumbled forward, flapping its underdeveloped wings. Shen Guocheng smiled and tore off a strip, holding it out to the bird. Then it lifted its head again, beak open, waiting expectantly for more. It continued demanding food until Shen Guocheng fed it 2 pieces of fish. He took 2 packs of hardtack and fresh water out of storage and ate a simple breakfast sitting on the bed. While fed, the young eagle grew far more energetic. "I should name you. You're round and fluffy and aligned with star power." Shen Guocheng walked toward the shore, and Starcluster hobbled along behind him. Unable to fly yet, it tumbled forward clumsily, its feathers puffed out, resembling a rolling silvery gray furball. The morning breeze off Starvein Resonance Island carried a crisp chill. Morning glow painted the ocean in streaks of gold, crimson, and pale blue. He reached his usual fishing spot. Shen Guocheng took out his fishing rod and examined the changes brought by its Tier 2 upgrade. Name fishing rod Tier 2. Description: standard tool for island survivors. Tier matches the island's tier. 5 free fishing attempts available daily. Tier 1 wooden treasure chests. Tier 2 iron treasure chests. Low probability. Tier 3 silver treasure chest. Very low probability. Special treasure chests. Extremely low probability. There is also a chance to reel and see monsters or catch nothing at all. After reading the updated description, Shen Guocheng noticed the addition of silver treasure chests. A question also occurred to him that he had overlooked before. Why had no sea monsters appeared in the void space he accessed when sharing the fishing rod? What exactly did the warning about reeling in sea monsters mean? Furthermore, no one in the chat channel had ever mentioned catching sea monsters. Could a novice protection rule be in effect? Star Cluster beside him chirped loudly, interrupting Chong Guo's train of thought. As he stared at the fishing rod, pushing the question aside for the moment, Shen Guocheng knelt and stroked the fledgling. "Wish me luck for great catches today." Starcluster squatted beside his feet, tilting its head and watching the line sink into the water, round eyes unblinking. The fishing line cut across the surface and sank into the blue depths. The system confirmed fishing attempt failed. Shen Guocheng glanced down at Starcluster. The young eagle tilted its head and blinked back at him. "It must have been my own luck." He cast the line again. The system delivered fresh water 2 liters. The system delivered wooden treasure chest 1 unit. The system delivered stone times 5. The system delivered salt times 500 grams. His 5 attempts were exhausted. Shen Guocheng thought his luck had been rather poor today. He lifted Starcluster into his arms and prepared to open his single wooden treasure chest. 3 items awaited him. 3 tomatoes, 2 beast meats, and the crossbow bolt blueprint. After reviewing the loot, Shen Guocheng stroked Starcluster and laughed loudly. "I'll craft beast feed for you at noon." He put away his fishing rod, lay flat on the island as usual, stretched his hand into the seawater, and began grabbing supplies from the supply void. Sure enough, a silver chest came into view, drifting rapidly in the distance. At this moment, Shen Guocheng badly wanted a rubber fruit. The system delivered iron chest 1 unit. The system delivered plant nutrient solution blueprint. The system delivered fishing rod blueprint. The system confirmed obtain special chest 1 unit. The system delivered iron chest 1 unit. What a rewarding haul. I've secured another special chest. My only regret is failing to get that silver chest. Standing up, Shen Guocheng lifted Star Cluster into his hands. Wish me luck, Star Cluster. With that, he first opened the 2 iron chests. Name Island Anchor Needle-grade. A compass that permanently points towards your island once bound. Name Healing Potion-grade. Treats minor wounds and ailments. Name Sailor's Sim-grade. A lethal weapon for combat both on land and underwater. Name Sailor's Leather Armor-grade. Durable waterproof leather armor with solid defensive capabilities. The remaining 2 rewards were familiar items: Spirit Potion and Physique Potion. Now for the main prize. I grade special description. Use alongside random secret realm teleport scroll 2 to teleport to a random secret realm. Special description grants 1 random piece of advantageous information upon use. Name Premonition scroll grade. Special description for L's incoming natural disasters. Premonition. Scroll random. Intel. Random secret realm. Teleport scroll I. The first 2 were intelligence items that he could activate immediately to aid his development. It might lead to a safe location. Yet, there was also the risk of being transported into a secret realm inhabited by creatures above Tier 3. Worse still, he could not activate it alone without the matching second scroll. I'll start with the intelligence. He sat cross-legged, set Star Cluster on his lap, and activated the Premonition scroll. The scroll dissolved into a wisp of white light that flowed straight into his forehead. Next, natural disaster type. Storm duration. 2 full days and 2 nights. Shen Guocheng wondered if the system intended to test them to the brink of annihilation. On such a tiny island, even a mild gale would put him on the verge of death, let alone a raging storm. He was not sure if he could survive it, nor whether the island beneath his feet could withstand the tempest. I have 4 days left. I must upgrade the island quickly, or the storm will seal my fate. He took a deep breath and picked up the second item. The system confirmed use of random intel scroll. White light once more merged into his forehead. This time the information surfaced slower. The regional contest event will commence soon. Every survival zone will launch the selection for Region Lord. The Region Lord will be elected by all survivors within the zone. Candidates must satisfy the requirements. Island grade no lower than Tier 3. Personal combat power no lower than Tier 3. And possess considerable reputation within the region. Those elected as Region Lord shall receive extremely generous rewards and gain partial influence over the zone's future development direction. Shen Guocheng read the message 3 times in a row. Region Lord election power to shape the zone's future. There will be conflict and competition. He stared out at the unnaturally calm sea. Natural disasters, regional rivalries. This is plainly a survival of the fittest contest. I have to fight for the position of Region Lord. He could work toward the first 2 requirements on his own. After returning from the reward island, he had posted 2 messages in the regional chat channel among the tens of thousands of survivors in Zone 666. Some would remember him, but he had no way of knowing how much renown he had gained. The message offered no specifics about the regional contest, whether it relied on direct combat or special competitions. No matter what form the contest took, strength came first. Without a Tier 3 island and Tier 3 combat power, he would not even qualify as a candidate. I'll focus on raising my island grade and personal strength first. Everything else means nothing without a solid foundation. He watched little Star Cluster pecking playfully at him. Rest when you're tired. Stop nipping my shoelaces. Chirp. Do you understand me? I'll take that as a no. He smiled. Carried Star Cluster back to the wooden hut. Placed the crossbow bolt blueprint, plant nutrient solution blueprint, and fishing rod blueprint onto the workbench. Then he opened the regional chat channel. Messages kept scrolling, yet the atmosphere was gradually shifting. At the very beginning, after transmigration, the screen had been flooded with cries of panic. Now, most messages centered on trades and intelligence exchanges. I've just caught a new batch of fresh water. Message quickly if you want some. I'll trade food for it. Why can't fishing rods be reused once their usage count runs out? Speaking of it, has Senior Chen sure come back? Yet I hope nothing bad happened to him. I told you not to trust that talk about Reward Island. Who would share such valuable information out of kindness? Can you stop spouting nonsense? If I ever cross paths with you, you'll regret those words. All you do is spread negativity. Shen Guocheng browsed through the messages. Apart from discussions about Chen Shi, one idea stood out. Every survivor only possessed 5 daily chances to fish for supplies, leaving most with little to occupy their time. If he put fishing rods up for sale, he could earn a tidy profit, even if sea monsters took the bait. Survivors on their islands would remain unharmed. With this thought, he closed the chat channel and prepared to craft a batch of fishing rods. Name fishing rod grade. Common materials required with 1 unit, hemp rope 1 unit, iron 1 unit. The crafting cost was modest. He decided to make 10 first to test market demand and used 26 material selection packs. 10 minutes later, 10 ordinary fishing rods were finished. At the same time, he sent a message in the regional chat. I have listed 10 fishing rods on the trading market for sale. Shortly after sending the message, all 10 fishing rods sold out, far exceeding his expectations. I'm eager to hear the announcement tonight. Senior, do you have more fishing rods? Seeing how sought-after fishing rods were, Shen Guocheng stepped up production. Demand for fishing rods would not last forever in the early survival phase. While Shen Guocheng busied himself crafting and listing fishing rods, and other survivors scrambled to buy them, a long-awaited message appeared in the channel. Shen Guocheng was casually scrolling the chat while crafting more fishing rods when the message popped up. Since Chen Shi had returned, he must have obtained his rewards. Senior Chen Shi, you're finally back. Does Reward Island truly exist? Come out and admit you were wrong. He only claims he went to Reward Island. He stood on a barren small island. Reward Island exists exactly as Senior Shen Guocheng described. I qualified for Tier 2 rewards and received 3 lottery draws. Thank you, Senior Shen Guocheng, for the intelligence. Wow, I have to build a raft at all costs. Senior, what rewards did you get? What tier is excellent common is followed by fine. I've also returned from Reward Island. Thank you, Senior Shen Guocheng, for the information, and Senior Chen Shi for sharing raft construction methods. Several more survivors announced their return from Reward Island shortly afterward. Undoubtedly, other survivors either chose not to disclose their gains or spread false claims. After digesting the news, he resumed crafting and listing fishing rods. From time to time, it pecked his head only to be gently brushed away by Shen Guocheng. He checked the time, 6:40 in the evening, just over an hour remaining until 8. Shen Guocheng carried Starcluster to the hut doorway and sat leaning against the frame to eat dinner. His own meal remained simple, bread and fresh water. Starcluster ate the newly crafted beast feed and was full after 2 portions. He had sold more than 300 fishing rods that day, filling his reserves of basic resources. He was drawing close to meeting the requirements to upgrade to a Tier 3 island. Chirp, you chirped so loudly, even though you don't know. Chirp. Very well. I won't ask. He smiled and stroked the bird's back feathers. At exactly 8:00, Shen Guocheng opened the regional chat channel and sent the message he had prepared. The first natural disaster will be a storm lasting 2 full days and 2 nights. You should upgrade your islands as soon as possible. A storm that lasts 2 days and 2 nights? I don't even have a proper shelter on my island. The wind might sweep me and my island away. It feels as though the system wants us dead. The system doesn't seek to kill everyone. Harsh words, yet there's truth to it, even with advanced warning. I don't see how I can survive. Shen Guocheng glanced over the messages, then typed another line. Do not give up. 4 days remain, and the future is uncertain. After sending it, he closed the channel. This was no time to sink into despair over others' negative emotions. Beside him, Starcluster was already absorbing starlight energy. Shen Guocheng had considered activating the Starvein Resonance bond. However, both Starvein Resonance Island and the fishing rod ability were currently Tier 2. If he removed the fishing rod trait, there was no guarantee he would draw another supply fishing ability for now. Cheer. Thank you for the warning. Senior, I can add a note. My island is already Tier 2. Both seniors are incredibly generous. The senior gains nothing by lying to us. The storm will arrive in 4 days after all. Among my rewards was a rare grade cultivation manual. Before dawn broke fully, Shen Guocheng felt a heavy weight pressing on his chest and something continuously tapping his forehead. Shen Guocheng blinked awake. From palm-sized, it had grown to the size of a typical owl in a single night. Shen Guocheng sat up, placed the bird on his lap, and rubbed his eyes to confirm he was not imagining the transformation. Growth accelerates in environments rich with starlight energy. So, absorbing starlight makes you grow bigger, and you reach Tier 4, once fully mature. He climbed out of bed and pulled the beast feed balls he had made the previous day out of his system storage space, holding them out to Star Cluster. The morning sea breeze was chillier than the day before, carrying dampness as it swept in off the waves. Today, I'm upgrading the island to Tier 3. He grabbed his fishing rod and walked to his usual spot by the shore, casting the line into the water. The system delivered fresh water 1 liters. The system delivered wooden treasure chest 1 unit. The system delivered stone times 5. The system delivered iron treasure chest 1 unit. The system confirmed fishing attempt failed. His 5 regular fishing attempts had gone well today, even yielding an iron treasure chest. He opened the 2 chests, one after another. The wooden treasure chest contained beast meat, 2 units iron or 3 units leather boots. 1 unit. The iron treasure chest held sailor leather pants, fine-grade iron pickaxe, fine-grade beast, trap fine-grade. The void space unfolded before his eyes once more, pale blue light rippling as supplies drifted slowly through the emptiness. The system delivered night vision potion 1 unit. The system delivered silver treasure chest 1 unit. The system delivered iron treasure chest 1 unit. The system delivered weapon maintenance fluid 1 unit. The system delivered small villa blueprint 1 unit. I finally got a silver treasure chest. Wish me luck. Star Cluster. Following his usual routine, Shen Guocheng opened the iron treasure chest first to warm up. Inside were an arrow tower blueprint, sailor scimitar crafting blueprint, and sailor leather armor crafting blueprint. With only the silver treasure chest left, Shen Guocheng undid its latch and let Star Cluster kick it open. Name Meteor Spear Grade. The spear weighs 5,000 gene. Its strikes fall like crashing meteors. When wielded by star-attuned creatures, it automatically adjusts to a comfortable heft for the user, though its actual weight remains unchanged. Name Basic Spear R Arts Skill Book Grade. Excellent description grants mastery of foundational spear techniques upon use. Name Island Relocation Scroll Grade. Excellent description allows an island below Tier 4 to be moved to any location within a 50 kilometers radius upon activation. Today really is my lucky day. A meteor spear and the basic spear art skill book. Now the island relocation scroll will serve well as an escape option. Star Cluster squatted beside him, watching the glowing orbs inside the treasure chest and tilting its head. Every time Shen Guocheng picked up an orb, it chirped as if celebrating alongside him. Shen Guocheng flicked its forehead. It flinched, then boldly leaned forward to peck at his fingers. All right, enough fooling around. Let's head back and tend to important matters. Shen Guocheng slipped on the new leather boots and tossed his old footwear straight into the ocean. Shame there's no proper waste disposal here. Guess this is the best I can do for this world's environment. He stood, ready to return to the wooden cabin and sort his inventory. He still needed one final batch of materials for the Tier 3 island upgrade. Fishing rods were unlikely to sell much longer, so he would try trading other resources. If that failed, he could gather materials on the Starvein Resonance Island, bringing Star Cluster back to the cabin. Shen Guocheng first activated the small villa blueprint. Name Small Villa Blueprint Grade. Fine. Grade description can be activated directly. Upon use, the small wooden cabin on the island will be transformed into a small villa. The moment he activated it, the wooden cabin morphed instantly into a 2-story villa. Gray flagstones formed the foundation and base walls, while Wadham's sealed logs made up the rest of the structure. The pointed roof gave it a total area of 240 meters. The ground floor held a living room, workshop area, and storage chamber. The open hearth had become a stone fireplace. Upstairs were bedrooms, a common hall, a balcony, and a washroom. After inspecting his new home, Star Cluster was just as excited as Shen Guocheng, darting back and forth inside and outside the building. Next, Shen Guocheng activated the Arrow Tower blueprint. Name Arrow Tower Blueprint Grade. Once constructed, the Arrow Tower automatically attacks creatures that enter its range, though arrows must be loaded manually. Required materials: stone times 20, timber times 40, Without further delay, he used the basic spear art skill book. In an instant, a flood of knowledge regarding spear handling and combat techniques flooded his mind. Shen Guocheng took out the meteor spear to practice. Moving like a veteran spearman who had trained for years, he began twirling the weapon. He had yet to fully grow accustomed to it, yet muscle memory guided his movements, making his spear work fluid and natural. As he practiced, a cold mechanical voice echoed out, identical to the announcement he had heard on the first day after transmigration. The system confirmed global announcement. Congratulations on surviving for 3 full days. To help you prepare for the natural disaster arriving in 3 days' time, countless new islands have been scattered across the sea. These islands vary in size and resources. Furthermore, every island hosts a dominant creature. Slaying it will drop an island treasure chest, which randomly yields one of 7 rewards: architectural blueprints, crafting schematics, transcendent materials, equipment, plant seeds, mineral veins, or skill books. Remember, opportunity always walks hand in hand with danger. Once the voice faded, Shen Guocheng stowed the meteor spear and scanned the ocean as he processed the announcement. It seemed the system was giving them a fighting chance. He would no longer have to rely solely on his 5 daily fishing attempts to gather supplies. Starcluster flew down from the rooftop and landed on his shoulder, letting out a chirp before stretching one wing to point toward the western sea. Shen Guocheng followed the direction of its wing. Far out on the water, he could faintly make out the silhouette of an island, a newly spawned island. It was not overly distant. The storm would arrive in 3 days, and new islands were appearing now. He had originally planned to acquire the remaining upgrade materials through the trading market today, raise the island to Tier 3, then stay safely confined on his own land. He had just learned basic spear arts and obtained a suitable weapon, not to mention his powerful companion Starcluster. Truly, plans never survived contact with reality. Shen Guocheng donned his sailor leather armor. He stored the meteor spear, healing potions, and bandages in his system storage. He strapped the sailor scimitar to his waist and held his crossbow in hand. Starcluster perched on his shoulder, folding its wings as its silver blue eyes locked onto the western horizon, letting out low trills every few moments. The wooden boat cut a thin white trail across the sea. Starcluster crouched at the bow, its silvery gray feathers ruffled by the ocean wind. Shen Guocheng gripped the oars, moving his arms in steady strokes. The western island resembled the curved spine of a gigantic beast resting across the ocean surface. A low ridgeline rose at the island's center, covered in dark green vegetation. He roughly estimated its size. It stretched nearly 2 kilometers across and covered several square kilometers, dwarfing his own developing island. Even from the boat, the place looked large enough to hide entire monster packs and valuable resource zones. Starcluster ignored his comment, suddenly straightening its neck and spreading its wings slightly. Shen Guocheng grew alert, tracing its line of sight, roughly 5 meters beneath the surface. A long, dark shadow glided slowly beneath the boat. It stretched over 3 meters in length, moving sluggishly with no sign of surfacing to attack. He kept rowing, never taking his eyes off the shape until it drifted away and vanished into the deep blue seawater. Shen Guocheng pulled the small boat ashore and stepped onto the gravel beach. A faint sulfur tang lingered in the island's air, seeping up from cracks in the ground. Starcluster took flight from his shoulder, circling low once before returning and pointing east with its wing. Shen Guocheng nodded, sheathing his scimitar and drawing the meteor spear as he headed inland. Nearly no large creatures roamed the outer 500 meters. Only occasional tidal crabs scuttled in and out of rock crevices. The volcanic rock beneath his feet turned into massive black slabs. The ground grew far drier, moss thinned out, and vast stretches of dark gray bedrock lay exposed. Starcluster shifted restlessly on his shoulder, fluttering its wings. Shen Guocheng slowed his pace. After rounding a tall black boulder, he spotted 7 gray-brown creatures basking across a slab of volcanic rock. Each lizard measured roughly 1.5 meters, with stocky limbs, flat heads, and armored backs. Rows of bony spines ran toward their thick tails, turning every member of the pack into a natural weapon. Insight identified them as Tier 1 Gray Ridge rock lizards, social predators skilled at coordinated hunts across volcanic terrain. After reading the status information, Shen Guocheng did not charge forward immediately. The 7 lizards were not positioned randomly, performed a semicircle surrounding a sunken gray rock hollow, while 3 patrolled further out on guard. The largest individual at the center bore longer spines along its back. Starcluster tilted its head, glancing between Shen Guocheng and the lizards, then tapped his shoulder with its claws as if asking whether to attack. Shen Guocheng tightened his grip on the meteor spear. "Let's go." He darted out from the side of the boulder, dragging the meteor spear along the ground to leave a trail, its tip scraping sparks against the volcanic rock. The 3 outer sentinel lizards reacted first, letting out shrill warning hisses that sounded like rough stones grinding against each other. The 4 inner lizards turned at once, tightening their formation and drawing closer to their alpha. Shen Guocheng did not give them extra time to organize. Lifting the spear, he aimed the tip straight at the nearest outer lizard. At the same time, a second outer lizard sprinted sideways, low to the ground, timing its strike perfectly to block both his forward advance and any evasive movement. The 2 lizards fought in seamless coordination. If this had been the Shen Guocheng, who had just transmigrated 3 days prior, he would have taken a bite. Now, however, the muscle memory granted by basic spear arts let his hands react faster than his mind. The instant the spear tip would have pierced the first lunging lizard, the 5,000 gene spear shaft slammed into the lizard's jaw with a heavy thud. Before it could sink its teeth into his leg, the second lizard was already within 30 centimeters of his left calf. Starcluster pushed off his shoulder without a sound. The silvery gray bird dove like an arrow, its claws sinking firmly into the soft skin at the lizard's neck. A sharp crack, and the creature collapsed motionless. Shen Guocheng did not look back. With 2 of their number fallen, the remaining 5 lizards repositioned. 2 guarded the alpha's front. Another scrambled onto a nearby rock ledge to strike from above, and the last retreated to block the hollow entrance, the only escape route. Shen Guocheng watched the arrangement, faintly surprised. Even as the words left his mouth, he charged into their formation. The meteor spear felt alive in his grasp. The tip stabbed toward the lizard, guarding the alpha's right flank. The beast twisted to dodge. Yet, as the spear tip grazed the scales on its neck, he flipped the thrust into an upward heave, hurling the lizard onto its back. He maintained the spear's momentum, spinning the shaft to bring it crashing down onto the lizard. Circling from the right, the bony plate along its spine splintered instantly, bone fragments and blood spraying outward. The lizard let out a brief hiss before collapsing limply on the rock. The lizard on the ledge dove toward him from 2 meters overhead. Starcluster had returned unseen. Slamming sideways into the beast's abdomen, its claws dug into the lizard's ribs, and the momentum of the collision sent it crashing onto exposed bedrock. A spider web of cracks spread across the stone, sending fragments flying. Only 2 opponents remained, the alpha and the lizard blocking the hollow. The alpha let out a roar but stayed back, refusing to advance. The guard lizard surged forward to attack, instead of dodging. Shen Guocheng drove the spear tip straight through its open jaws, piercing through its skull. The tip poked out slightly from behind its cranial plate, dripping dark red blood. The lizard stiffened mid-leap, then crashed heavily to the ground. Only the alpha remained. Behind it lay the hollow entrance, its only path to retreat. Its narrow gray-green pupils fixed steadily on Shen Guocheng, the spines along its back standing fully erect, tail pressed flat against the rock as it prepared for a final stand. Shen Guocheng pulled the spear free from the fallen lizard, blood dripping down the shaft to stain the volcanic stone in a line of dark red. He took 1 step forward. The alpha roared and lunged forward faster than the ordinary lizards. The meteor spears swept horizontally from Shen Guocheng's side, the tip piercing a thin gap between scales on the alpha's neck. Shen Guocheng twisted his wrist to rotate the spear shaft, wrenching the lizard's neck sideways before forcing it downward. The sound of splintering spines popped like firecrackers, scattering gray-brown shards everywhere. The battle was over. All 7 Tier 1 rock lizards lay dead, the ground littered with broken bone spines, dark blood stains, and scattered rock dust. Shen Guocheng glanced at Starcluster. "Are you hurt anywhere?" Starcluster stretched its wings briefly, then folded them back, chirping twice to signal it was unharmed. Shen Guocheng said no more and knelt to loot the battlefield. On closer inspection, every lizard he had struck with the meteor spear had been torn apart, leaving little usable material. In the end, He only harvested Gray Ridge rock lizard meat 2 units, Gray Ridge rock lizard hide 1 unit, Gray Ridge rock lizard claw times 4, Gray Ridge rock lizard tendon times 4, Gray Ridge rock lizard blood 200 milliliters. Once he finished gathering materials, Starcluster flew back to his shoulder and tilted its head to rub its beak against his ear. Shen Guocheng wiped the blood from the spear shaft against some grass and slung the weapon over his shoulder. Past the open ground where the 7 lizards had made their home, the terrain rose sharply. Layered volcanic rock formed terrace steps roughly half a meter high each. Shen Guocheng climbed upward, meteor spear held horizontally before him as his eyes scanned every shadow. After ascending around 20 meters, he spotted 2 more lizards napping beneath an overhanging rock slab. They were slightly larger than the previous group, bearing 2 extra pairs of back spines, their scales a deeper shade of near black gray. He glanced sideways at Starcluster and lowered his voice. "The left one's yours, the right one's mine." Starcluster fluttered its wings twice in acknowledgement. Shen Guocheng stowed the meteor spear in system storage and drew his sailor scimitar. The blade glinted pale white in the afternoon sunlight. It was far lighter than the meteor spear, more than enough to deal with Tier 1 lizards. He switched weapons for one simple reason. Using the meteor spear against 2 isolated Tier 1 creatures would be overkill, and he would likely destroy too much usable loot. He crept along the rock toward the lizard on the right. His footsteps made only faint rustling sounds against the volcanic stone. The lizard remained unaware, half buried in a shallow depression with its belly pressed against the warm rock, basking comfortably. 3 meters away, Shen Guocheng burst forward. The scimitar slashed downward, aiming straight for the pale seam of scales on the lizard's neck. The blade sliced through scales, muscle, and blood vessels in one clean motion. The lizard did not even have time to make a sound. Shen Guocheng sheathed the blade and turned to check Starcluster. The bird had pierced the second lizard's neck with its claws, twisting its head at an unnatural angle. Starcluster flipped the creature over with its talons to inspect it. "You strike even more ruthlessly than I do." Starcluster puffed out its chest and let out a triumphant chirp. After dismantling the materials, the man and beast continued to advance cautiously. The surface of the volcanic rock was dotted with irregular hollows, indentations left by repeated heavy impacts. The stench of sulfur in the air also grew stronger. Starcluster shrank its neck on his shoulder, feathers tightening slightly. Shen Guocheng caught an unusual scent as well, far thicker than the odor exuded by the rock lizards on the outer slopes. He clambered over the last 2 meters tall black boulder, and his view suddenly opened up. The summit of the central ridge on Gray Ridge Island formed a relatively flat clearing, roughly the size of a basketball court, ringed by black rock pillars of varying heights. The ground had been worn smooth and shiny. Right in the middle of this open stretch, a massive creature lay prone on the bare rock. This Gray Ridge rock lizard was more than twice the size of the juvenile specimens outside, nearly 4 meters long. Its taupe scales were thick and coarse. A row of sharp bony spines ran from the nape of its neck all the way to the tip of its tail, each honed like a stone spearhead. Its half-lidded amber eyes tracked every movement, while its tail slowly crushed loose stones into powder. Insight marked the 4-meter monster as a Tier 2 chieftain and the dominant creature ruling Gray Ridge Island. Shen Guocheng crouched behind the boulder, not daring to make a hasty move. His gaze swept the surroundings. The Tier 2 rock lizard was not alone. 5 Tier 1 rock lizards formed a circular perimeter around it, positioned with ruthless efficiency. Less than 10 meters separated each one, leaving almost no gaps to slip through. Shen Guocheng retrieved the meteor spear from his system space, gripping the shaft firmly. A frontal charge won't work. He had just mapped out his battle plan in his mind when the Tier 2 rock lizard suddenly stirred. It lifted its head and its amber vertical pupils locked precisely onto the boulder where Shen Guocheng hid 10 meters away. Shen Guocheng had no time to wonder how the beast detected him. The Tier 2 rock lizard rose to its feet, its spine arched, the bony spines standing rigidly upright. Its tail crashed against the rock surface with a sharp crack, shattering the black stone slab it struck. "Move!" Shen Guocheng burst out from behind the boulder. Before he even landed, 2 of the guard lizards lunged at him simultaneously, attacking from left and right. Their coordination mirrored what he had seen before, but Shen Guocheng had no intention of engaging them in a prolonged fight this time. Starcluster handled the smaller ones. As he twisted to dodge the lunge from the lizard on his left, Starcluster blurred into a streak of silver-gray feathers from his shoulder and slammed into the side of the guard lizard on the right. As a Tier 2 creature against a Tier 1 foe, Starcluster claws dug into gaps between the scales and wrenched hard. The guard lizard let out a short shriek and was flipped onto its back. Ignoring the skirmish beside him, Shen Guocheng kept moving straight toward the Tier 2 rock lizard. The Tier 2 beast did not wait for him to close in. It unleashed a roar that vibrated Shen Guocheng's eardrums, then charged straight at him. Its 4-meter body carried a weight of at least 1 ton. All 4 limbs pushed off the ground, scraping 4 white gashes into the volcanic rock. Shen Guocheng did not attempt to block the charge head-on. At the very last moment before the lizard crashed into him, he rolled sideways, sliding past the underside of its torso. But he had not finished his roll when the lizard's tail whipped toward the spot where he would land. The tail smashed into a half-human tall black rock pillar. The upper section flew 3 meters away and shattered into 3 fragments upon hitting another rock face. Shen Guocheng's pupils narrowed. If he had been half a second slower, that tail would have struck his waist. He was not certain if he could have survived the blow. Having missed its target, the Tier 2 rock lizard did not pursue. Instead, it stepped back slightly, lowering its center of gravity once more, its amber vertical pupils fixed on him, holding not the wild rage of a common beast, but a chilling, calculating scrutiny. The meteor spear stabbed diagonally, aimed at the root of the lizard's fork. The Tier 2 rock lizard raised its paw to block. Scales clashed against spear tip. Yet the beast had underestimated the meteor spear. The sharp point pierced straight through its forepaw. The moment the spearhead sank into the lizard's paw, Shen Guocheng felt far less resistance than he expected. The tip did not glance off the scales. Dark red blood streamed down the shaft. The lizard reacted faster than pain could register. It slammed its paw downward, trying to snap the spear shaft, but only worsened its injury. At the same time, its tail whipped towards Shen Guocheng. Unwilling to prolong the exchange, Shen Guocheng twisted the spear free the instant he gained an advantage and rolled left. The tail club swept past his shoulder by a hair's breadth. The Tier 2 rock lizard stared down at the bleeding hole in its left forepaw. Its amber pupils constricted sharply, and it let out a short, shrill cry. Its odds of victory were slipping away. The Tier 2 rock lizard seemed to realize this as well. Its posture shifted in a matter of seconds. It pressed its spine lower to the ground, tail flat against the rock, shifting its weight backward. The 4-meter body launched forward like a cannonball, targeting the overhanging boulder behind Shen Guocheng. The lizard had no intention of striking him directly. The upper section jutted out over a steep slope. If it crumbled, cascading rock debris would bury Shen Guocheng alive. Starcluster, who had just finished off its opponents below, spotted the maneuver. It let out a cry and raced over at once. The lizard's plan was sound, but Shen Guocheng had anticipated it. The second the rock lizard launched itself forward, Shen Guocheng raised the meteor spear high above his head. Channeling all his strength, he brought the spear crashing vertically downward in a mighty overhead strike. The spear carried 5,000 jin of momentum, combined with Shen Guocheng's full force. The rock lizard was already mid-leap, less than 5 meters away from the overhanging boulder. It had calculated the distance, the angle, and how its impact would shear off the upper ledge. It had assumed Shen Guocheng would have no time to escape. But it had failed to account for one thing. Shen Guocheng had predicted its strategy from the very start. Suspended in the air with nowhere to evade, the rock lizard took the blow full force. The massive shaft, amplified by Shen Guocheng's downward weight, crushed its torso. The beast's body snapped in two, lifeless. Shen Guocheng turned to Starcluster, perched on his shoulder. "You just hovered and watched." Starcluster tilted its head and chirped at him. A system notification popped up at that moment. The system confirmed. Slain Tier 2, Grayspine Island dominant creature. Grabine rock lizard chieftain. 1 island chest has dropped. Once the notification faded, a bronze chest etched with an island pattern appeared beside the Tier 2 lizard's corpse. Shen Guocheng opened the island chest without hesitation. Inside rested only a single glowing orb. Name: Star Rune Workshop, Blueprint Grade. The excellent grade blueprint could construct a Star Rune Workshop for engraving stellar runes onto weapons and armor. He already possessed the required star spirit crystal and iron, making the workshop his next major island facility. Starcluster edged closer, poking its head near his hand to study the orb before looking back up at him and chirping again. He stood and took one last glance over the ridge summit. He dismantled the chieftain and collected large quantities of Tier 2 meat, hide, claws, tendons, and blood. Unlike the smaller lizards, this corpse provided enough durable material for equipment, crafting, trading, and beast feed. With the island chest secured, the expedition had paid for itself many times over. After packing everything away, Starcluster flew back to rest on his shoulder. Shen Guocheng stroked its head gently. Starcluster chirped in reply. Back home, he tried building the Star Rune workshop, but the system rejected the placement because the island was too small. The villa already occupied too much of the limited Tier 2 land, leaving no space for another major structure. He needed the Tier 3 upgrade immediately, and his fishing rod sales had already supplied much of the required material. By dusk, Shen Guocheng had gathered roughly half the resources needed for the next transformation. After preparing his evening meal, Chen Guo opened the regional chat channel to see how the other survivors were faring. Has anyone found the reward island? The big shot mentioned, I built a raft today, but couldn't locate it. I did find a system-spawned island though. Not much danger there. I told everyone there's no such thing as a reward island. That so-called expert tricked you all. How are you even still alive? Can the heavens please get rid of this guy? The reward island was probably time-omited. I got rewards from it yesterday, and the system announcement today makes it clear. It's a shame we missed out, but we still gained something. If everyone hadn't been chasing rumors of the reward island, we never would have dared sail to the new system islands. How can you risk sailing so far out on just a raft? I barely escaped the sea beast when I didn't go far from shore today. Stay on our islands and slowly perish, or take a chance on the raft. Shen Guocheng scrolled through the messages. Most survivors were still finding their footing. Some had reached new islands. Others were still building rafts. Progress across the region varied wildly, yet the gap between survivors was slowly widening. One message caught his eye, sent by an ID named Zhao Mingyuan, the man who had claimed found the Mutual Aid Society. He had pinned the message, likely using a special item. Tonight, I will share the opening segment of my cultivation manual publicly in this channel. Anyone may view it. Shen Guocheng skimmed past them. He had no need to join an organization for now. Then another distinct message appeared. Chen Shure, I've found another island. After defeating their chieftain, an island chest dropped, matching the official announcement. The reward island near my location has vanished, confirming it was time-limited. Zhao Mingyuan, expert Shen Guocheng. Please accept my friend request when you see this. Shen Guocheng had not expected his name to pop up in public chat. Zhao Mingyuan, I'd like to invite you to a group chat. I promise not to pester you. Zhao Muan invites you to join Group 666 Regional Exchange. Everyone in this group ranks within the top 100 for combat power or resource wealth across Region 666. Survivors within a region are not mere competitors, but allies. Regional conflicts will begin in the future, and the number of survivors remaining in each region will carry great importance. Zhao Mingyuan, I cannot provide proof of the regional conflict news. I do not demand you trust me outright, only that you remain vigilant to the possibility. As for the second piece of intelligence, you will have more than a day to verify it yourselves. Can you tell us the combat power rankings, Shang? Don't stay quiet. I want to ask if the first natural disaster will really be the storm you warned about. Shen Guocheng had not anticipated being questioned. If Xiao Mingyu's words held true, everyone here was among the strongest survivors. Building his reputation among them would work to his advantage. Shen Guocheng, I have no reason to deceive you. I learned of the storm through a prophecy scroll. Furthermore, I can confirm Zhao Yuan's claim about regional conflicts. Tang Shuyao, thank you for answering. Zhao Mingyuan, I appreciate your support. Sheer, that explains why you founded the Mutual Aid Society to assist survivors who are falling behind. You all can keep me accountable. I hope you can trust me. As top-tier survivors, you can trade resources you cannot buy or sell on the public marketplace directly here. Finally, I hope everyone understands one truth in this alien world. We are natural allies, even for your own personal growth. Remember this simple truth. Without enough survivors, there can be no market at all. Chirp, 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 Shen Guocheng. Open one eye. Star Cluster stood on his chest, its silver blue round eyes fixed on him, beak opening and closing as it chirped insistently. It looked noticeably larger than it had the previous day. Shen Guocheng lifted the bird off his chest and set it aside. Sitting up and rubbing his sore sternum, Star Cluster tilted its head and stared at him for 2 seconds. It spread its wings, flapped them, hopped around on the bed, and resumed chirping non-stop. Shen Guocheng sighed and swung his legs over the bed to stand. The fire in the hearth had burned out. Shen Guocheng retrieved beast feed from system space and fed Star Cluster pellet by pellet. The morning sea breeze washed over him as he carried his fishing rod to his usual spot on the shore, casting the line into the water. The system confirmed, obtain fresh water 2 liters. The system confirmed, obtain wooden chest 1 unit. The system confirmed, fishing attempt failed. The system confirmed, obtain stone ×8. The system confirmed, obtain food can 2 units. He had used all 5 daily fishing attempts. Shen Guocheng reeled in the rod and opened the wooden chest, gaining beast meat 3 units, iron ×5, bandage 2 units. He then crouched down and extended his right hand toward the seawater share. The system delivered wooden chest 1 unit. The system delivered iron chest 1 unit. The system delivered silver chest 1 unit. The system delivered island expansion scroll 1 unit. Shen shook the water off his hands, stood up, and a smile tugged at his lips once more. He sat down on the sandy shore and opened the chests. 2 wooden chests yielded basic resources: stone ×12, soil ×8, timber ×10. The iron chest contained his familiar constitution potion and spirit potion, alongside one more item, a beast layer construction scroll. Name: Beast Layer Construction Scroll Grade. Next was the last silver chest. Name: Logistics Automaton Grade, powered by solar energy. 5 minutes of charging grants, 2 hours of operation. Name: Upgrade Scroll Grade. Elevates the grade of items and equipment ranked excellent or lower by 1 tier. Name: Island. Barrier Scroll Grade. Deploys a protective barrier encircling the island upon activation. After reviewing all rewards, Shen Guocheng had already mapped out how to use each one. He drank the 2 potions, then took out the island expansion scroll and the upgrade scroll. He first upgraded the expansion scroll, then activated it toward the Starvein Resonance Island. Name: Island Expansion Scroll Grade. Increases the island's area by 500 square mi upon use. The system confirmed activation successful. Island area increased by 500 meters. A faint tremor ran through the ground beneath his feet. The island's coastline visibly stretched outward, its outline slightly expanding. Shen Guocheng stood at the island's center and glanced around. 300 square meters had grown to 800, more than doubling its size. He then brought out the beast layer construction scroll and aimed it at Star Cluster, who tilted its head, watching his movements. Star Cluster let out a startled chirp and fluttered backward 2 paces. Beneath the eaves on the eastern side of the villa, set into the rock wall, an arched stone nest materialized out of thin air. Star Clusters circled the nest, tilted its head in observation, and scratched the cushioned floor with its claws. 2 seconds later, it poked its head out and chirped toward Shen Guocheng. Glad you like it, hearing his reply. Star Cluster buried its head once more and settled down. Only the island barrier scroll and the logistics automaton remained. Shen Guocheng activated the island barrier scroll first. A hemispherical shroud wrapped around the island, nearly invisible, unless closely observed. As for the logistics automaton, Shen Guocheng walked to the shore, fetched his small wooden boat, climbed aboard, and rowed toward Grey Ridge Island. Star Cluster perched on the prow, its silvery blue eyes fixed on the water for a long while. Once ashore, he guided the automaton across the open stretch, circling the ridge where the 7 rock lizards had once resided. At the foot of Grey Ridge Island lay exposed bedrock covered in a decent layer of soil. As he spoke, Shen Guocheng summoned the logistics automaton. The palm-sized metal figure landed on the ground, clicking its joints. Shen Guocheng had not expected the automaton to be so small, yet he issued his command regardless. Gather stone and soil here. The automaton sensors flickered and emitted a short beep. Once fully transformed, the automaton swung its pick hard against the rock face. Stone scattered, its efficiency far exceeding expectations. Shen Guocheng did not idle. Retrieving his fine iron pickaxe from his inventory, he moved to another rock outcrop a dozen meters away and began mining. There was nothing urgent to attend to for now. Starcluster hopped between stones nearby, sometimes spread its wings to fly high on patrol. Midway through, Starcluster flew off. It returned clutching a palm-sized fish in its talons, landed on a rock beside Shen Guocheng, and swallowed the fish whole. After 3 hours of labor, enough materials to upgrade the island had been gathered. Weariness washed over Shen Guocheng. Over those 3 hours, he and the automaton mined a combined 106 units of stone and 1,247 units of soil. Staring at the numbers, Shen Guocheng let out a relieved breath. Starcluster flew down to rest on his shoulder and chirped as if sharing his joy. Shen Guocheng instructed the automaton to continue mining on Grey Ridge Island, then headed back with Starcluster to upgrade his island. The moment his boat touched shore, Shen Guocheng rushed to the center and ordered the Tier 3 upgrade. 2,000 stone, 2,000 soil, and 1 star spirit crystal vanished as white light covered the island. A deep rumble shook the sea, far stronger than anything produced by the previous upgrade. When the light faded, every coastline, resource node, and open construction zone had transformed. Starvein Resonance Island now covered roughly 5,500 square meters and had become a true Tier 3 territory. The island unlocked a water well, dock, watchtower, boundary walls, expanded farmland, and several star-aligned resources: star ore, star spring, star marrow liquid, and star soil now formed naturally within its strengthened land veins. A new affinity trait could even attract benevolent star-aligned beasts toward the island. Reaching Tier 4 would demand far greater quantities of stone, soil, rare structures, and additional star spirit crystals. More importantly, Shen Guocheng himself had finally satisfied the island tier requirement for becoming a regional lord candidate. The island's land veins connect to the starry sky, forming a natural star power resonance field that absorbs stellar energy overnight. Shen Guocheng stood at the island's heart and slowly surveyed his newly upgraded Tier 3 island. He opened the island panel and read it carefully. Resource requirements for advancing to Tier 4 had risen sharply. The island now produced star spring, star marrow liquid, and star soil in limited quantities each day. The spring strengthened constitution, the marrow improved star affinity, and the soil accelerated crops while encouraging mutations. Shen Guocheng murmured, sensing the shifts within the island and within himself. He retrieved the pale golden blueprint for the star convergence tower, testing whether it could be constructed. White light rose from the northern ground as the perfect-grade star convergence tower slowly took shape. The completed tower gathered scattered stellar energy and concentrated it into a powerful cultivation environment. After exploring the first floor, Shen Guocheng climbed the central spiral staircase to the second. Star power intensified further, and a subtle pressure weighed upon him. He suspected he could access the second floor only thanks to his bond with Starvein Resonance Island. He then walked south and brought out the Star Rune Workshop blueprint. Construct Star Rune Workshop. Iron 200, Star Spirit Crystal. 1. A sturdy 2-story edifice materialized amid radiance, forged from dark gray alloy and covering roughly 400 square meters. The main entrance stood open. The first floor featured wide workbenches lined with rune grooves. Name Star Rune Workshop grade. The workshop has 2 floors. The first floor is dedicated to carving star runes onto weapons. The second for armor and accessories. A wide selection of runes is available. Star rune carving requires star-attuned extraordinary materials, including star spirit crystals, star marrow liquid, and star ore. Compared to the star convergence tower, the Star Rune Workshop interior was plain. Only several star rune engraving machines on each floor. One needed only to place equipment, select rune patterns, and insert materials such as star spirit crystals to begin engraving. With the 2 major northern and southern buildings completed, the central open land gained distinct layers. The starfruit saplings in the 9 farm plots had grown to calf height, and the star soil glimmered gently. Shen Guocheng swept his gaze across the land and took out the watchtower blueprint. White light flashed, and an 8 meters tall wooden watchtower rose on the island's western shore. Climbing it granted an expansive view overlooking most of the sea. The dock sat along the southern shallows, a half-open wooden shelter equipped with berths and a repair platform. Seawater flowed into the slips and receded with the waves. New farm plots were added next to the original 9, expanding the grid from 9 to 18 sections. The star convergence tower loomed in the north, its summit crystals slowly rotating to absorb star power. The star rune workshop rested quietly in the south, silver runes flickering. The dock slips waited for vessels. The Starvein spring burbled clear fresh water at the center. 18 farm plots shimmered with faint starlight. The villa occupied the absolute center, guarded by the eastern arrow tower and watched over by the western watchtower. All buildings are finished. Next, I should examine the new Tier 3 island resources closely. Name Star Spring Grade. Consumption slightly improves physical constitution. It can also serve as alchemical material or plant fertilizer. Moderately enhances physical adaptability to star power. Aids cultivation for star-aligned exotic beasts. It serves widely as alchemical raw material. Name Star Soil Grade. Soil permeated with faint star power. It carries a chance of triggering mutations in ordinary flora. Speaking of supplies, Shen Guocheng suddenly remembered he had left the logistics automaton mining on Grey Ridge Island. Bringing along a confused-looking star cluster, he set off to retrieve his automaton. When Shen Guocheng landed on Grey Ridge Island, he found the automaton still tirelessly digging stone and soil surrounded by large mounds of collected resources. He walked over and tapped its metal casing. Time to head home. The optical sensors flashed, mechanical arms retracted. Shen Guocheng stored it in his inventory and turned toward the shore. The return voyage went smoothly. Daylight still lingered when the boat reached the shore. Shen Guocheng carried 2 grilled fish and half a sack of bread to sit before the villa entrance. Starcluster immediately hopped onto his lap and stared at the fish. Starcluster snatched it, tilted its head, swallowed, then opened its beak again for more. You certainly know how to enjoy food. He fed Starcluster while eating his own grilled fish, opening the regional chat channel to browse casually. Messages scrolled rapidly, yet he noticed the atmosphere had shifted drastically from previous days. Ever since the system announcement releasing new islands, despair and panic in the channel had faded, replaced by constant discussion. Guys, I landed on a new island swarming with monsters. I barely escaped alive. I found spirit plants on a small island today. Anyone willing to trade for iron? I've got plenty of food to offer. On my way back today, I spotted a massive creature swimming across the sea. No clue what it was. Has anyone found an island with plenty of easily harvestable resources? Do you really think the system would be that generous? Funny enough, the island I've been exploring is just like that. It's full of low-level minor creatures with abundant ore and plant life. Curse your lucky streak. Has anyone upgraded their island to Tier 2 yet? Of course, we have. We'd be in real trouble otherwise. I'm gathering materials for the Tier 3 upgrade. I've been digging stone and dirt non-stop. I also heard upgrading to Tier 3 lets you add special transcendent materials. Right. Just unlocking Tier 3 will be hard enough. I haven't even seen any transcendent materials. The upgrade should still work fine without them. Anyway, it turned out that keeping busy slowly chased away negative feelings. The shadow of the disaster still loomed, but at least not everyone was sitting around waiting for death. He closed the regional channel and switched to the group chat with Zhao Mingyuan. By evening, the once barren starting rock had become a Tier 3 territory, glowing beneath a field of concentrated starlight. The star convergence tower gathered power from the sky, while the star rune workshop waited to enhance future weapons and armor. A dock. Well, watchtower, expanded farmland, villa, defensive barrier, and automated labor had transformed daily survival into organized development. Starcluster rested beside him as a transcendent companion already stronger than most survivors could hope to become during the newcomer phase. The logistics automaton continued gathering materials, his fishing business generated resources, and the mythic sharing talent kept scaling with every upgrade. Across Region 666, people were still arguing over water, rafts, monster islands, and whether the coming storm could be survived. Shen had already warned them that the first disaster would rage for 2 complete days and nights. He had also learned that regional warfare, a lord election, and another system event were approaching faster than anyone realized. Zhao Mingyuan gathered the region's strongest survivors into a private exchange group and revealed that population would become strategic power. That information confirmed Shen's suspicion that isolated survival was only the opening stage of a much larger competition. To qualify as regional lord, a survivor needed a Tier 3 island, Tier 3 combat power, and enough reputation to win public support. Shen had already completed the island requirement and built more regional influence than he originally intended through warnings, blueprints, and trade. His personal strength still needed another breakthrough, but Starvein Resonance Island produced the resources required to close that gap. Every night of cultivation strengthened his body, every rare chest expanded his options, and every expedition sharpened his combat instincts. Most survivors depended on whatever their fishing rods randomly returned, making every day another desperate roll of the dice. Shen could reach behind that randomness, select high-value loot, and convert each reward into permanent momentum. The storm remained dangerous. The dark sea still hid enormous creatures, and future regions would eventually become enemies. None of that changed the reality shining across his island beneath the stars. In only a few days, Shen Guocheng had gone from a stranded student to the strongest rising lord in his region. While others waited for luck to save them, he had already taken control of the loot pool and built his own future.